Welcome back to Giving Chance. We're out here doing the nightly chores. Girls have already fed both of the goats. Now the only thing left we got to do, for the goats at least, is give them some hay. So we'll get that done. We did have a comment on yesterday's video asking us about if we had come up with a name for the new calf yet. We had asked you guys in a previous video whether or not you like the names Navajo or Mickey. There was a comment stating they liked Navajo, and then also with us talking about it, that's the name we actually chose. So
it's Navajo.
The new boy bull calf's name is
Navajo.
Alright.
And
It goes along with the rest of our cows where they either have a
Indian
ice
name.
cream topping or a Native American.
Or some type of ice cream flavor.
Yeah.
And also, it would also make more sense to name him Navajo anyways, since his mom is Cheyenne,
Right.
which is another Indian tribe.
Which you can explain to them. Cheyenne.
Was
What-
also, it's a Native American name, so that's another reason why. And the first reason is because the bull calf was, the bull that we have is named Cheyenne Magic. So we named it after her dad. So
Well, what else do we have in our bloodline?
we have Cherokee in our bloodline,
So we personally have Native American in our bloodline.
which is why
Both
we
on my
both
side
sides.
and Tony's side. We got bloodline traced back to the Cherokees.
Yeah, which is why we also have Native American named cows out there, not just chocolate flavors.
Chocolate
Chocolate
Sundae. chip. We had chocolate chip.
Yeah, chocolate chip. Hershey.
Hershey.
Yep.
And then we have other Native American names like Cheyenne, Cheyenne Magic, Cheyenne, Navajo, and Cherokee.
Yep. Can you help Sissy with the back door, please?
Yep.
Alright, so, and also since we've put the cedars in, hot chocolate, every time we go to feed, we go ahead and verify that it's still in place. So far, we haven't had any trouble with it at all. I know sometimes they say, people will paint the tip of it red so it's easier for them to see. That way, if the other ones in the herd will chew on it and try to pull it out or anything like that. But we haven't had anything like that because right now we've got her separated out. So, got her separated out right now to be able to keep an eye on that cedar and also kind of keep her a little bit stress-free coming into going to breed. And then once we get her bred, we're going to make sure, once we verify that she's bred, then we're going to maybe look towards possibly integrating her in with the cows. That way she's not by herself. So, because actually we've decided to process Coco out, so she didn't make the cut due to some unforeseen issues. So we're gonna take her and do us right. We're gonna process her out. So, but part of it, we got to do what we have to do around here.
And
We can't keep them all, and
at least she's helping us by
Right.
nourishing our bodies.
exactly this way she'll be able to nourish our body, and we'll be able to thank her for that.
And
And
she'll
then we
actually
can-
be living on in us.
Yep, so, but we definitely have, lots of improvements coming in next year and some bigger things coming on, new things for us. I know we've talked about it in a previous video that we put a deposit down on our breeding pair for the Idaho pasture pigs. So that'll be something new to us. We've raised pigs in the past, but it's always been feeders. We've never had a breeding pair here on the farm. So there'll be a little bit of a learning curve there, as with most things that are new around here, but we're ready to tackle that head on and make the best of it. So we got a little bit of time before that happens, because they're scheduled to be here towards the end of spring, first of summer. So that gives me a little bit of time to be able to make sure the pens are ready for them, make sure they've got shelter structure out there, excuse me, and then decide on what type of water we're going to use out in the pastured pens. In the past, when we've raised feeders, we've basically raised them in this stall here with access to the outside, and their water is just about a 5 foot, 6 inch round PVC pipe with the nipple on the end of it. So I've seen a few videos here lately with some different types of feeders and waters that people are using out in the pastures. The most recent that comes to mind, VW Family Farms, they did a video where he showed how he put together the water they're going to use, and ended up putting an 80-pound bag of concrete on it, and it ends up having the pipe coming up and has 3 nipples on it coming out there, and then it has an attachment to where you just tie it into the garden hose. That way, when you go to move them from paddock to paddock, all you have to do is basically disconnect the garden hose, and then he put a rebar handle in it when you put the concrete in there. That way you just pick it up, and basically it weighs a little over 80 some pounds each time you do it. You're not having that big water weight, or not having to dump a bunch of water to make a waller out there in the paddocks. So that way we'll be able to move them around, because the overall goal for us eventually here is to continue on with what we've learned through rotational grazing and regenerative farming. We want to be able to move the animals around and simulate the way that they would be if they're in the wild and a predator was chasing them. So we want to keep them compact in a herd and moving. That way they're moving away from their urine and feces, and then they'll stay healthier that way. And that's, with doing that, and is also the reason that we started bale grazing and moving the round bale feeder. Every time we put another round bale out, it's in a different location. Our hopes is to be able to improve the soil that way, and also with that, we'll actually be shooting for a healthier herd, because if we can continue to move them every day and keep them away from what they were just eating on, and their urine and feces are in that area, then we have less chance for illnesses due to worms and those kind of things as well, because they're not there on the same ground all the time around that. Just the same as what we want to do with the chickens. We want to be able to bring the chickens through there also. That way the chickens can scratch through the manure where the cows were and basically clean up the pasture for us while we're going along. In the past years, I've had to hook up a drag behind the tractor and go out there every so often and drag the paddocks and that's time consuming, and it costs money because you gotta have fuel for the tractor to run that, versus I'm not getting anything at the end of that money for that tractor running at that time, versus if I'm using chickens to go out there and run around, scratch through the manure, and they're getting bugs and those kind of things like that. So they're controlling pests while they're out there doing that. They're cleaning up the pasture, and at the end of the day, I'll be able to get meat off of those birds because we're going to use the meat birds out there. So by doing that, then we actually make that enterprise feasible to us. Versus if I got to keep running the tractor every day and I'm not gaining anything off of that tractor running, then it doesn't really make sense for me to be out there doing that. Because you already have the cost of fencing and all the other stuff that goes along with raising cattle and goats and pigs and everything else right now. So we have to try and offset some of those costs and time on the tractor. If I can keep that to a minimal, then that will help us in the long run. So that's why you see us do some other items here lately too. I've done a few videos here lately of me doing some wood turning. It actually started out me doing those videos just for the memories because of that lathe being my grandpa's. But the very first video I did of me turning a pin actually turned into a customer. Purchased a pin from us, did a custom order, and that was my second. The slimline pin video was a pin I did for a customer, so. Which will help, because then that way that customer bought a pin, and that will help me be able to make more memories on that lathe. So we try to do that with everything that we raise here. We try to figure out how we can attempt to make it pay for itself. So some things are that way, some things are not. It's kind of why we got away from horses and switched to cattle. When we were raising horses, we were buying feed, buying hay, and at the end of the day, we were getting to the point where we were so busy that we might ride a couple times a year, and that was about it. So, and then once we had kids, the girls at that point, they didn't really allot us much time because I was working, 2-3 jobs off of the farm. So by the time I come home, I really didn't feel like getting out there to ride a horse too often. So we decided to make that change over to cows, and there's still some hay cost in it, there's still some feed costs in it, but at the end of the day, I've got food I can put on the table. So that saves us some money in the long run. So hope everybody enjoys the videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share on social media, and here soon, within the next couple of days, we'll make our decision on what day we're going to be doing the December live. So we'll let you guys know that in a couple of days on the video. Also coming up, I'm going to try over the next couple of days to get out the video of me doing a meatloaf on the smoker. So I know during last month's live I had talked about that, and I mentioned it a couple other times in videos. So I'm going to try and get that done in the next couple of days. So we'll see you on the next one. Bye.